Nailed it. Okay, first question, which is obviously the easiest one. What is the Dark Wizard thing that you guys are watching? I need just some bit of
So
knowledge.
it's this new show that's come out that's like a biopic on Dean Potter.
Mm-hmm. I know who that
And
guy
so
is.
it's kind of going through like his life as he was in climbing and then he got into base jumping and like the high lining. And yeah, it's just, I mean, he was one of those people that he decided like kind of early on that he was just going to film like everything. And so they have so much footage of him that they could splice up into like a pretty cool documentary.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's been a fun watch.
yeah. I remember him doing a bunch of like hard desert climbs, and like I think one of them was called Tombstone. And I've
Yeah.
like seen that climb, and I just we'll talk about it off the podcast. But it's like impressive because like you just like can't even like get your hand in. You're just
Yeah.
like just a fingertip, and you're just like okay. So I have no idea how he climbs some shit. Okay, let's you can go ahead and introduce yourself, even though I feel like we already kind of did. But and then we'll get down to business.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, I'm Will Magrann. I am an old school Magic player. Uh, and yeah, I recently did a kind of crazy, had a crazy spring of Swedish old school this year.
Yeah, three events, right? So
Three events in the span
yeah,
of 6 weeks.
Team World Cup,
Yep.
Arvika, NoobCon, three events.
Uh,
Um,
no, no. So Team World Cup and Arvika were the same. That was Friday, Saturday.
oh,
Then it was Tron
Tron
Wars
Wars.
was 3 weeks
The
later,
and
and then
Tron Wars
NoobCon,
is where?
Denmark.
It's in
So
Denmark. Okay,
it's yeah, it's Hirtshals, Denmark. So it's like basically as far north as you can possibly get in Denmark.
okay,
Um, Pretty much the middle of nowhere. When I was on my flight, I flew over to Copenhagen and then have a short flight from there to Aalborg, and then it's like maybe an hour and a half train from there. But when I was on the flight to Copenhagen, this guy was like sitting next to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to Hirtshals," and he was like, "Oh, you're going to real Denmark. You're not going to like Copenhagen, where it's like you're getting the real Danish experience." And I really feel like I got that in a big
sick.
way. Yeah,
Which event was first? It was Arvika first, correct?
yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously you did pretty well there. Um,
Yes.
so and then the next day you went what like you literally went the next day?
Oh, so the Team World Cup was the Friday, was like the warm-up event for Arvika.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I was like trying to keep all the timelines straight in my head and like look through like previous chat logs to like make sure I knew what was going on. But like
hmm
for the Team World Cup, who who's your team?
So I teamed up with DFB and Noah Shanning.
Excellent. Okay, strong team, strong American showman.
Yeah, and DFB is like the perfect person to team with because he just wants to play green. And so he's like, I want to play Chaos Orb and Strip Mine. And you're like, do you want Mox Emerald? And he's like, nah, I don't really need it. You're like,
Yeah,
okay, great. Like as long as you don't want to play all the Mazebiths, as long as I don't want to play Mazebith, which I never play, like I'm happy. There's no overlap at all. So Noah and I basically like got to split up everything between the two of us, which was really cool.
what I played in one team world event, World Cup
hmm
event. We went. We had a guy on our team. We were a very casual team, but we had a guy on our team who played just mono black. I played
Okay.
red green,
Yep.
and then our third person played the like just the deck, right? Like we
Yeah.
just ceded all the power to one person.
Yeah.
What did you guys go with on your strategy?
So Noah played the deck. I played like BB-8, so
Okay,
robots, blue, red, black robots with lightning bolts and side blasts, and then Dave played mono green berserk.
okay, still strong.
Um,
Obviously, it won.
yeah, it was solid. We kind of split the power between Noah and I. I played Soul Ring, Mox Jet, Mox Ruby, Time Walk, Time Twister, Wheel. And Noah got Mind Twist, Demonic Tutor, Ancestral. Brain Geyser, and then like he got Lotus and the like the blue white Moxus. I
Nice.
think I got Emerald too, actually, to go with Soul, and I had Soul Ring. So yeah, we like split it up, and honestly, I think it was pretty much a perfect split. Um, and like it, I mean, team events are so weird because it's like I went my seat. I won 5 of the 8 matches I played, but our team went, 7-1
Yeah.
because every time where I lost, they won basically, which was kind of perfect.
Dude, I
But
love
yeah,
I love the team events. They're like so much more fun slash casual. I don't know. I really enjoyed my
yeah,
World Cup
I
run.
I think it was really a lot. But when I did it last time, I teamed with Dave and Danny Friedman, and I really like Danny, but it was just like a different vibe. And I feel like we had a lot of like pressure coming into it, whereas this time we were all flying in that day. So, and we had flight trouble where like our flight that was supposed to be Newark to Oslo got canceled. So then we
Right.
each had our own different route that got us to Oslo. And then Dave had rented a car. And so it was just like, I feel like we were way more concerned about getting to the event and like getting there on time, and we didn't have the time. And then when we were there, it was like we finally sit down to like look at our decks, and it was like we realized that like Noah was supposed to be playing Ancestral and like forgot to put Ancestral into his deck until right before the round started. It was like that kind of thing. Um,
Dude, so much fun. The That
yeah.
brings up a question. How did you get this much time off of work? How did you convince your boss or boss's boss to allow you to basically be gone, what, probably 12 days total, somewhere in there?
I feel like I did less. I feel like I used less PTO days than I'm gonna look right now at my like sort of note that I keep on my phone with my PTO. So I get pretty decent. I get really solid. I have like 22 days off for a calendar year,
Okay. Okay.
which is a lot, but I spent 2.5 days off for Arvika, 2.5 days for Tron Wars, and 3.5 days for NoobCon. So what does that
Oh,
total up to? 8.5 days of PTO that I used.
nice. Nice.
So
It's
yeah,
just an impressive run,
I
honestly, from a
I
work
do a
perspective.
lot of red eye flights. So a lot of like, and then flying home, that you never really, because of the time change, you never really lose. You just have a really, really long day.
Yeah.
But I always utilize the like red eye flight. Generally, it's always I red eye flight Thursday night, get there Friday morning, get in. Maybe I play Magic, maybe I don't on Friday, then just go to sleep at like a normal time. And then I wake up like one day down on sleep usually because I rarely, if ever, sleep on an airplane, but I'm at least like on acclimated time wise because it's just like, oh, I just had a really nice night's sleep because the night before I got 2 hours of sleep or something like that.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. I always thought it was easy going to Europe. It was coming back where I would
Yeah.
like be messed up. The
Yeah.
So with the team stuff, like that's like the Friday before the Saturday,
Hmm.
before like the main
Yep.
event. Do you think like what is your thoughts going at like you come off a W on Friday? Are you
Yep.
like carrying like are you what are your thoughts? You carrying that into Saturday? Like are you just you've like set the tone, right? Like if we're
Hmm.
thinking about this as like a playoff conference, because I think there's
Sure.
still basketball going on, like
Yeah.
you have like set the tone for the next game.
Hmm.
Like what are your thoughts going through your head Friday into Saturday?
So yeah, I mean, one was just like, oh my God, I'm so excited to lay down on my bed and go to sleep. This has been a very long day. But yeah, so we had decided that Noah and I both play the deck and could have played the deck. And so I had decided, like, Noah, I want you to play the deck because you're an ER nurse and you do overnights and like you function on low, if no sleep frequently. And I don't really do that very often. So like I don't want to crash and burn because I'm just like out of sleep and so tired. And so we decided that he would play the deck. And I basically sat there next to him in the last like 3 rounds. And I just called out every single play. I was like, tap this land, do this, do this, do this. And that worked really well. But I was kind of chomping at the bit, having like sat next to someone just crushing people on the deck. I was like, I want to be the one tapping the books and drawing the cards. So I was pretty jazzed to get to play. And I put a fair, I mean, I always put a good bit of time into preparation, but I felt pretty good going into the tournament. I felt like my list was solid. I felt like I was in a pretty good place with it all. And so, yeah, I was pretty excited to get to play. And I do feel like, yeah, I kind of carried over that momentum into the main event.
On set, like, obviously you played the deck, but
Mhm.
did anything catch you off guard? Like, was it just like normal Swedish meta? Like, were you just
Yep.
there to crush and you just got what you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, nothing really caught me so off guard. So this event was weird because they gave out an altered library for the budget price,
Saw that.
which
Yep.
is kind of insane. And so the year before they had given like maybe it was a Legends booster for budget prize, but that's like a humongous budget prize to the effect that like Fluffy, who's one of the spikiest players you will ever meet, decided to play budget living plane because that was like, man, I really want to win this library. Like that would be such a cool prize. So I thought there would be a ton of budget decks, and that was certainly the case. There were a lot of people gunning for that. So I knew more than I would at a normal event. I wanted to make sure I was really solid against all of the budget decks. But I don't think I really played against many of them. The only thing I guess that like caught me off guard, my only loss in the Swiss was to a guy playing, or no, that wasn't even, that was, I started off 5-0 in the tournament. I lost a game playing against like a Twiddle Vault Stasis deck where he just kind of went off. And it was one of those things where you think like, oh, he just has one Howling Mine in play. I'll be fine. And then it's like that draws him into a twiddle, and then he gets two twiddles, and then next thing you know, you're dead.
Yeah.
But I snuck that one out. So I came into the dinner break undefeated. And then I picked up a draw playing against Jordan Boyle on stream, which he was on the
I saw
deck
that.
too. And
Yep.
that was a really fun match. Was really kind of like proud of that I was able to pull game one out, then a little sad that I ended up, I think if there was one more turn or two more turns, I probably win the match. But and then I just got stomped by Svanta on stream
Yeah.
in the mirror match. And that was just one of those like I honestly kind of like those losses because there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing to be upset about. There's nothing to be sad about. It's just like, oh yeah, you got an A+ draw, and my draw was like a B-. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you win.
You don't have to go back and be like, oh, if I had just done this on turn 5
Yeah.
differently, I could have pulled this out. Like, it's just like, yep.
Yeah.
That's still
The
this,
only
baby.
thing
Like,
the only thing I could have done was like cut his deck better, you know? Like
mhm.
that's all I could have done. So yeah, and then it wind up in a really weird way in the last round of the Swiss. I played against Juice, who had won
2 years
Arvika
ago?
2 years,
Yeah.
2 years ago. Um, and I won game one where I just kind of like we were at parity, and then I ripped Ancestral into Mind Twist, which will usually do it.
Yeah.
And then in game two, we had a really weird situation where I had kept a mana light hand that had a strip and a city as my only mana, but I had like a red blast and a disenchant, and like I was in a decent spot. I was feeling okay about it. And then he goes turn one library. And I was like, well, I guess I have to strip this, and now I have to hope I draw land.
Yeah.
And then I missed land drops.
Oof.
So I played city, and then I missed a land drop, and then Juice played his third land and Chaos Orbed my City of Brass. And it was at that point that I was basically like, should I just save time and scoop this match, like, or scoop this game so I can have time for game three? And then literally my next draw step is library. And I just died laughing, like howling, laughing out loud. I'm just like, sorry, Juice, like, I got you. And I just played the library and crushed him. And he had already used his Chaos Orb. So he was pretty low on outs, and it just dominated him and pulled me into the top eight, which was kind of wild.
Nice. Yeah, those
Yeah,
are always nice to run into.
yeah. He blamed at the end of the match. He was like, "I guess I should have been fasting for Ramadan, but I wasn't, and that's why I lost." And I'm like, "Yeah, you gotta chalk it up to something like that."
Yeah, gotta do that. The I think I was at work, or I was like watching you. I was watching Top Four, But
Mhm.
what? Who did you played Svanta, right? That was the match you're talking about. Okay.
No, I in
No.
the top four I played against Emil on the Ernemgeddon deck.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Um, yeah, and anyone who's been following along, he ended up winning the giant shark. But yeah, I got there in game one on a multi four, and I was like, man, I'm feeling really good here. And then we switched over to play the games two and three on stream,
Yeah.
and they were close, but I just like kind of stumbled slash made like slight misplays in both of the games, like very subtle things. But it was like the one game I played a City of Brass into my own balance where I should have been holding it, and then later got Armageddon, and it was like, yeah, if I had the City of Brass, I'm in a way better spot. Um, and the other game I had, I decided to tap out for a book rather than just play Wrath of God to kill an Urnum. And then it was like the turn later, I went to play the Wrath and he mana drained it. And it was just like
Mhm.
I was too far behind at that point. Um, so yeah, it was very close match, very well played on his end. But yeah, the run ended, and I was really proud of myself that I had done so well in both events. But I was definitely a little sad that I couldn't pull off like the perfect weekend where, to get to the top four. I was like, man, if I just won this game three and then won one more match, all of a sudden I'm the winner of both events, which would have been really crazy. But it's one of those things where it just wasn't meant to be that day.
Not yet. Not yet. There's
No.
more years to come.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Before we move on from Arbica, do you think
Mhm.
that there is a like trend now for Urnums in Swedish because it's a
Yeah.
4/5 and it deals with Suchi that much better, or like it's
Yeah.
comparable, I guess. Okay,
Yeah.
all
I
right,
also just think Ernemgeddon is one of those decks that if you like that style of play, it's really fun. Like,
got it.
it's just if you're just into just slamming big creatures and attacking, like it's people describe it as little kid magic, and I think that's really perfect. Like, yeah, it's just like little kid, like, oh, big monster attack. Like, there's not a lot of like, oh, I have a 4/5 and they have a 4/4. Yeah, I'll attack.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The last question, the Wrath of God. Did you enjoy that? Did you think that was like a good addition to the deck?
Yeah, so I play one in the board in Swedish because Suchi makes Abyss, the second Abyss, not as good.
Okay, okay,
So yeah, I like it in Swedish. It cleans up the board. I mean, it's one of those cards where it's so much worse than Abyss in terms of like pure card quality. But
I
I
guess that was
thought
my
maybe
question. Yeah,
with the recursion and just the ability to kill Suchi, it seems like it ought to be good. And it's been solid. I mean, it's never like the best card in the world kind of thing for me, but it's always like solid enough.
okay. And then, so anything else from Arbica, like
Yeah,
any
the flight
non-card
home
stuff?
was crazy.
Was it okay? I couldn't remember if it was like NewCon or Arbica, where like
Yeah.
the flights were like one of
Yes.
you got stranded for like an extra day or so, like
Me.
16 hours. Okay, it
Me.
was you. Okay,
Yeah.
I was like
So
going back through
so
my notes on this one. Yeah,
yeah, so Sunday we Dave, Noah, and I drove back to Oslo, and we did a really cool like sauna and cold plunge right on the harbor, which was awesome. Um, at the end of it, they give you like a 2 hour window to sauna and ice plunge as much as you want. And mostly everybody like kind of called it quits, except me and this one Russian guy who didn't speak a word of English. And we're just in the sauna, and I'm just like, yeah, put more water on there, like more steam. This is great. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of things. That was really fun, like change of pace after all the magic over the weekend to just like let the steam kind of like wipe your mind was really nice. And then yeah, we were all getting ready to go to bed on Sunday night, and there was a big snowstorm on the east that hit the East Coast,
that's what it was.
and
Yep.
we were all kind of concerned. And then they canceled our flights, and Dave and Noah, like Dave's the most savvy traveler that I've met, I think, in terms of like on the fly like adjustment. He was like, okay, I'm still gonna his flight, what was it, I had a direct flight back to Newark. They had a flight that was through Frankfurt, and so they instead went to Frankfurt. I think it was Frankfurt. It was Munich. They went to Germany. And then from there, Dave was like, there's a ton of options to get to Boston. And so they did some insane, like they flew to Germany, then they flew from there to Montreal, then they rented a car and drove, or it was like something like maybe there was one other leg thrown in there, but like they ended up making it home for work because Noah, I think, basically was like, if I don't get home by Tuesday or by Wednesday morning, I'm gonna get fired from my job because he's gonna miss his shift. So
It's
they like had to be
possible.
home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It typically happens.
Meanwhile, I got stuck there. We were supposed to fly home on Monday morning. I got stuck there until Wednesday morning. Um, but honestly, that worked out really well. My friend Steiner was he was really excited at the idea of getting to like host me and invited me, hey, come over to my house and like hang out for a bit. And then he was like, by the way, I have a guest suite in our basement that's like a full bedroom and like has a kitchenette and everything. And I was like, am I he was like, yeah, I would love for you to stay here. And I was like, okay, awesome. So yeah, I got to stay with him, made dinner for him and his family one night. I've never gone cross country skiing before, and he took me cross country skiing, which was really fun. Um and yeah, it was just a really nice experience. I feel like it added a layer of wholesome, just like this is what magic is on some level, is the connections that you make with these people from the other side of the world, that you just get to like meet them and their family and spend time with them. It was really made the trip that much more special.
Yeah, it was like super serendipitous too. Like that, all
Yeah.
that stuff lines up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and I mean, like, sounds fantastic. That's
Mhm.
like your third or fourth time at Arvica, because I know you're I would call you a regular of the tournament. Is what I would
Yeah,
say.
so this was the fourth year in a row that I was at Arvica, which is kind of wild.
Going again next year?
I hope so.
Okay,
Yeah, I
all
haven't
right,
fully locked out my schedule for next year, but yeah, I plan to.
all right. I'll talk to you offline here, but I think I might try and join you if I can get the invite.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about that one is it's an open event.
Oh, that one's okay. Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. I've like, I don't know. I like just like I don't have time to go to this, but
Yeah.
I'll have to look at it.
If you can
Uh,
make it work, I highly recommend it. It's in terms of like old school European old school events, I think the vibes there are like the best because it has all these Swedish guys and Norwegian guys that go to very few other events, and it gets raucous. Like there was this absolutely outrageous story. I'll tell the short version is these two guys got really drunk on Friday night. They got into a fist fight in their hotel room on Friday night. The one guy, like they both go to bed. They're in like a suite, so they have a shared room, and then they get bedrooms off to the side. The one guy is so mad still about this that he goes into the room of the other guy and pisses on the guy's bed while he's in his bed.
okay.
Uh, the guy, I guess, I don't know for sure that this is how it worked, but I'm pretty sure he gets up and like sleeps in the shared room. His friends come in and are like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And he goes in to tell the story of how his bed got pissed on, and he's so drunk that he pisses on his own bed
Hmm.
in telling the story. And then the craziest part of this whole thing, they wake up on Saturday morning and they have breakfast together and they decide like, look, that was too much last night, and they drive home together.
Amazing.
Yeah, and just skip the main event. Yeah,
I probably would
so
too, honestly, if I
yeah, I think
missed the
so.
bed
I think
after
so.
getting pissed on. I guess I'd probably
Yeah,
skip.
after like getting beat up and then pissed on, like
Yeah,
that's
I would probably
what
just call
more
it
do you really
quits.
need
Yeah,
to, yeah,
yeah,
more do you really need? But then he like drove home with the guy who had beat him up and pissed in his bed is like kind of crazy.
yeah. Just like a nice little, probably like 4 hour drive just to like
Yeah,
work out some
exactly.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. So just a small example, but yeah, Arvika is a
Yeah.
great time.
Okay. All right. Danny Friedman has told me that is also his favorite tournament as well, and I hold your guys' opinions very highly. So we'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
So next is Tron Wars, right? Did
Yep.
you is Tron Wars invite or is it
No,
open?
it's open.
Okay. Okay. I've listened to to the Monster of the Week podcast where they talk a lot about Tron Wars, but it was like
Yeah.
a year ago or whatever. So I don't remember all the details. But what was the impetus to go to Tron Wars? Like just just one you hadn't been to before, or
Yeah, pretty much. So Simon Rockjer runs it. He does a fall one that always it's right around the same time as LobsterCon every year.
okay,
So that basically is a no-go for me, where it's like within a week of LobsterCon, I just can't really do that. But I think what really pushed it was Mano did his all things with him, and they talked about the Tron Wars event, and I was like, this sounds awesome. And so it's at this like youth athletic center that Simon runs, that his dad
yeah.
founded, and
It
it's
sounds like a
like
Boy Scout
this.
camp, but European, like less
Yeah,
nationalistic.
basically.
Like
Um, yeah, essentially yes, and it's like a table tennis like mecca in Denmark.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm not good enough that I would be going to the table tennis mecca, but for like an at-home player, I'm pretty decent. So I was excited to get to play some ping pong. And
nice.
yeah, it was just an event that I'd never been to that I'd heard good things about. So yeah, and it really lined up schedule wise kind of perfect, where it was exactly 3 weeks after Arvika and 3 weeks before NoobCon, which I feel like for me having 2 weeks between events is just enough to like unpack your bag, get back to normal life, and then have like some time to look forward to the next trip, without just feeling like you're a wet hen running around like crazy. Like, oh my God, I have to unpack from this event and like I have to repack now, immediately.
Absolutely, yeah. I like I know you got the work credit figured out, but like how you got wife credit for these three
Yeah.
runs is impressive.
Yeah.
The what did you take with you for Tron Wars? Is it just straight Swedish?
Yeah. It's just
Okay,
Swedish. There was like a singleton event on Friday, but I didn't really want to play singleton. I again was on a red eye the night before, so I was kind of like, yeah, I'm cool to just hang out. I don't need to play singleton. Um, and the hangs were good. We like got dinner and just kind of hung out at the venue, and it was good times.
nice. It sounds like European chalice is actually what it sounds like. Like
Yeah, I mean, it had that vibe, and honestly, Arvika a little bit has that too, insofar as the whole event is at the hotel. And like Tron
right.
Wars, the whole event is at this like sort of fitness center, which also has hostels. So I was staying like on Saturday morning, I woke up and like 2 minutes after, like go to my room between rounds to, lay down on my bed kind of thing, which is really kind of a nice, like novel feeling.
Oh yeah. The for Tron, did you just play the deck again?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Any
I
changes
yeah,
from Arvika?
no, I don't think so. I would have to look at my list, but no, I think I ran back. Let me see. I feel like I might have run the same 75, or if so, I made like very small changes.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
that's like kind of like
oh,
the
you know
follow-up
what? I
question.
did.
Yeah.
I did. I made very slight changes. I changed. I had been playing three volcanic islands and one underground sea, and I went to two volcanic islands and two underground seas for the Tron Wars event. Um, And I guess at Arvika, I had been playing Shivan Dragon in my sideboard, and I decided to go away from the Shivan in my board.
That's classic Will to have the Shivan in the sideboard. I actually started
Yeah,
including. I'm not even joking. I kind of put one in the sideboard. Like I was like, this is actually kind of smart. Like it protects against like blood moons and a couple other issues. So
yeah.
like I'm definitely on board for the Shivan in the sideboard, just like out of nowhere.
I love, I love it for the unexpected stylistic element, and I do think it's solid against blood moons. The thing I ran into that was the reason I cut it was when I was cutting down from three volcanics to two underground seas, which I kind of felt like I needed the extra black mana for Abyss. Because I was like, I really want to have a seventh black source. I was like, now Shivan is basically going to only be castable if I can keep a Felwar Stone in play post board, which is not easy, or if my opponent has Blood Moon. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to cut this. I also felt like there are a lot of people like I put my mark on Shivan Dragon to the point that people like assume that I have it and I'm boarding it in against them no matter what. And then I was getting it was getting to the point where people were like telling me they're boarding in Blue Blast against me. And I'm like, yeah, I think this is the point where I've like pushed this far enough that I need to
Right.
go away from it because people are just assuming that I have it.
Yeah, I mean, like if I was gonna play against you, I would also assume that there's a Shivan in the fifth in the sideboard, right? Like I would just be like,
Yeah.
oh, like I would be like, oh, something to consider. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
did you think the metagame was different between Arvika and Tron Wars? Even like, I'm assuming there's a lot of population overlap, but like, did you think the
Yeah.
meta was different overall?
Yeah, I think Tron Wars was a lot more like everyone was playing, not everyone, but a lot more people were playing like tier one decks. A lot of people had power. I think it wasn't Swedish reprints, so
Oh,
people
okay,
were allowed to play CE cards. So it was a more level playing field insofar as people having access to all the cards.
got it.
Um, I chose to play I was like, I'm gonna treat this as though it's NoobCon in terms of my list because I was like, this is kind of the perfect warm up for NoobCon. So I just played what I would have played at NoobCon, and then I tweaked my list slightly for NoobCon from Tron Wars.
Gotcha. What did you win at Tron Wars for first place? Like, what was the prize on it?
It was a playmat that Rob Alexander had drawn. That it was like a, I think he had printed it, and then it was a black and white that he had printed, and then he colored it with acrylics to
Oh,
add
nice.
color to
Okay.
it of an underground sea. Yeah, it was super cool.
Sick.
I'm in the process of moving to a new apartment over the next 10 days, and I have that playmat frame to put in my new apartment, but it was like I was like, yeah, I don't really want to put this up, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna be moving, in a month. So yeah, that's one of the things to look forward to once I'm moved in.
Dude, I hate moving. But I don't want to lose my train of thought. As I
Yeah,
talk about
sorry.
apartment moving. The So for Tron Wars, what was your highlight? I mean, obviously winning is big, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it's not a small feat whatsoever, but like besides the obvious, what was your highlight from the trip?
We got to, so I knew that there was a lighthouse near the event, on the main event. And so between the dinner break on Saturday or on Friday, I went out, or no, Saturday, I guess Saturday. Yeah. I went out and went like on the beach, and I'd heard that you could find Baltic amber
Okay.
on the beach. So I like brought a black light with me and a headlamp, and I like went out for a hike down to the beach. And I was out there on the beach on Saturday, and I was just like, man, I do not really want to come back and play Magic. I really just want to stay out on the beach and like look for amber or like cool seashells or sea glass or, shark teeth or whatever. And then I came back in and got my butt kicked in top eight. And I immediately was like, oh, but I might have found I think I might have found amber on the beach. And I showed it to Simon. He was like, well, actually, Jens Ole is the one to look at amber because he goes amber hunting all the time. And I showed it to him, and he was like, oh, let's go amber hunting right now. And I was like, right now? And he was like, yeah, I've got all the gear in my car. Like, let's go. And I was like, okay, give me 10 minutes. And so we went amber hunting on Saturday after the main event. And then we went out until like 2 a.m. And I got back and just like crashed, woke up in the morning, and then won the Sunday event.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then after that, we got dinner, and then we went amber hunting again. And Misha came with us this time, and he found like this absolute monster amber piece that was like, I think it was like 28 grams of amber.
Okay. Okay. That's
Um,
pretty big.
and yeah, Jens Ole described it as the find of a lifetime.
Wow.
And it was a really cool experience. It was one of those things that I was like, I've never done this before. I generally love like going to the beach and looking for like shells and rocks and that sort of thing. So it was kind of like the perfect, I was like, this is basically exactly what I want to be doing in my free time.
Nice, dude. Did you find some amber as well?
Yeah, not a ton, but yeah, we found a few small pieces. I found one like not, I have it here on my desk. It's not humongous, but I found one like decent. like little.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's better than
enough
like
that
gold
it's.
flake, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then I found a bunch of like little flakes. But you use a black light. Like he had like a sort of industrial black light, and at night it pops up. It shines like a really kind of weird yellow, like sort of dusty yellow color, which makes it a lot easier to find. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was a really cool experience. And I think another event I'm trying to go to next year is the Eel Castle Cup in Aalborg.
Yep.
They just announced today that like when the event is and when the signups are. And I was talking to Jens Ole, and he was like, "If you come, we'll go amber hunting again." And I was like, "Damn, you're really twisting my arm here."
Yeah, dude, it could be fun. I mean, like, I
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
now I'm gonna have to Google if there's like amber hunting in the United States. I feel like the answer is probably no, but I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, it's like a weird like the Denmark was apparently there was a like a forest with like pine trees along the coast that like the pine sap, the resin went into the water, and then it's like deposits into these like sort of gaps, and then the tide. Jens Ole has like kind of gotten it somewhat art, somewhat science of like it's when the winds change because the tides all of a sudden it like sucks the water out of these sort of undersea holes, and then it pulls them up onto the beach. But he like is constantly kind of like reading the tides and the storm charts and that sort of stuff to try to find when the best days are to go out and go amber hunting.
Interest. Okay. All right. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
some more research on this. It sounds
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah, if you're into like a combo of like really good Magic player, but also like he's really big into fishing. He has like all these like bugs and plants and things like that. I was like, this guy has so many like cool, like if I was a 10-year-old boy, which I basically am, like I would be, over the moon just to be like hanging out with this guy and hearing all these like little bits and bobs about all these different, sort of niche pastimes that he's into.
Yeah, dude, that sounds like frankly amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm slightly jealous of that experience for sure. The any special events at Tron Wars, or is it just straight sweet? Like, besides the
No, they do
singleton, but like,
Saturday and Sunday Swedish, which is like Simon was like, "Yeah, we don't mess around. We like to play Swedish," and so that's what we do. And I was like, I can respect that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes my life easier. Like, I appreciate
Yeah.
it. So awesome. Anything else from Tron Wars before we move on to the big event?
No, I mean it was a great time. I definitely enjoyed myself there.
Would go back.
Yeah, I would go back. I would like to go if it lines up sometime in the fall because the fall one is always bigger. I think this
Okay,
was like 60 people for the Saturday event and like 40 for the Sunday. I think the one in the fall I think is like over 100.
nice. Okay, so it's a bigger event in the fall.
Yeah.
The so you just did you just stay there because Tron Wars is September? Oh no, no, never mind. So then you fly out for Easter to NoobCon, and I'm
Yes.
assuming you flew out on like Wednesday or Tuesday.
Uh, Thursday night.
You did Thursday. Oh, because then you just get in. Right. Okay. Never mind.
Sorry, Wednesday night. Wednesday night I flew out
Because that
because I
puts you
got
in
in.
like
Yeah.
Thursday afternoon, morning, somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
Thursday morning. Yep.
Okay.
Uh, And this time, so how I made this all work with my wife is so she came with me to NoobCon this year,
I
which was
saw
the
that on
first
the
time.
stream as I was at work.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
first time that she's come overseas with me to a Magic event.
Did
So
you
that definitely,
did you warn her at all about anybody for going into
yeah.
this match? Okay. All
I
right.
I told her, yeah, I gave her some tips
You gave her the
of
read.
like I gave her the read. I told her like I suggested to her beforehand that she should do the NoobCon stream, which she did. And I said, look, you're going to get a way better Gordon experience if you do this in round one than if you try to do this in round eight.
Yes. To be very clear, love Gordon to death. I was just like, oh, what's going to happen here? And I was excited to
Yeah.
see her on stream.
Yeah, me too. It honestly went way better than I thought it might. But
Also,
I was
for
like,
listening, we saw the stream stuff. That's all I have to say about that. Okay.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
How did
But yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously you did well to warm up, but how
Mhm.
like did you make any changes? Like so this is all kind of like culminating at NoobCon, right? So like,
Yes.
did you make? You've obviously got a shit ton of reps in. Did you make any
Mhm.
changes with your deck coming out of Tron Wars, knowing that you'd
Yeah.
probably see the majority of those people, again in a couple months?
Yeah. So my changes from Tron Wars were I had tried out one terror in my sideboard at Tron Wars because I knew that the Urnum deck, I mean, it was mostly aimed at the really weird setup for this year where the winner of Arvika, which was Emil on the Urnum deck, was going to play against the winner of NukeCon on Saturday for the Shark.
Yep.
So I kind of had that in the back of my head, as I think a lot of people did, in terms of like, well, I really need to make sure that I can win this matchup if I do make it. Um, and so I was thinking about playing the Terror, and then the more that I thought about it, the more I was like, kind of last minute, I was like, I'm gonna play a fourth Red Blast to my sideboard instead. Because I figured I was gonna have to beat the deck mirror at least once, if not twice, or maybe three times. And so I was like, look, I want to make sure that I can beat the best players in the room, who I assume are going to be on the deck. And if I make it to this Shark final, then that's awesome. And I feel like I have a decent matchup against the Ermgeddon deck regardless. But yeah, so I went with the fourth Red Blast in my board, and it was tremendous for me all weekend.
Yeah, that feels like the right call. And then you just like just play the man when you make it to the finals, right? Like just go
Yeah,
one on one with
exactly.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
The so I would say probably no surprises with regards to NoobCon, right? Like you saw what you expected to see.
hmm Yeah, by and
Any
large.
yeah, any like specific matches that you thought were like worth or worthy of talking about?
So on Thursday at the warm-up event, it was kind of fun. So we flew over on a red eye. I got like an hour of sleep. And actually that Thursday was my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Um, which it's like what better place to be spending one's birthday than in Gothenburg playing old school. And I was in the top eight, and I was playing the deck mirror match, and it was like game three, and we're in a sort of tense back and forth top deck mode kind of thing. And Will Partial was watching my match, and all of a sudden I ripped Ancestral into Brain Geyser and just totally turned the game over. And Partial was like, Jesus, Will. And I turned to him and I look and I go, well, it is my birthday. And he's like, oh my God, I didn't know it was your birthday. Happy birthday, man. It was just such a funny moment where I was just like, yeah, this culmination of like, yeah, everything was lining up for me just right. And then I played against the real hero in Paul De Silva. And, as I was saying earlier about the Urnum deck being one of these, like, you just slam threats and just kind of see what happens. Paul plays the deck like it's Urnum.
Mhm.
He just slams. He doesn't really he's not so worried about like, do I have counterspell up? Like what if they mind twist me? No, he's just slamming threats.
Yeah, make them
And
have it.
yeah, exactly. And the way I play the deck is, I mean, I do a little bit of that, but not nearly as much as Paul. And he kept doing that to me, and I did not have it. And I just got crushed. And it was one where I was like, you know what? I made it to the top four of the warm up. That's fine with me. I'm ready to go home and go to sleep anyways. Um, so yeah, that was really cool. And then yeah, the main event on Friday, I started off, I think 6-0,
Yeah.
6-0, and then in the seventh round, I played against the guy who I played in the finals of Tron Wars on Sunday and beaten him in the finals. And we're playing a match, and we're in game three, and it's pretty tense and pretty tight. And I'm like getting kind of pinched by Black Vice. And Martin Berlin was watching my match. And earlier in the day, Pez had seen me, and Pez was like, dude, you have a crazy energy right now. Like, you are just kicking ass. And I was like, I was really feeling it. I was like rocking and rolling. I was well tested. I had like woken up on Friday morning at like 6 a.m. and was just like chomping at the bit, ready to kick butt. And so I'm sitting there playing my match, and Martin Berlin was watching that match in round 7, and I'm just in a really tight spot here, facing down the black vice that I can't kill. And all of a sudden, I've never seen this happen before. Martin Berlin's the bottom of his beer glass just fell out,
Huh.
and the beer just spilled all over the place, mostly all over him, but like all over my bag. And like it was in that moment that my concentration was broken, and it was like immediately afterwards I lost.
Oh,
Like I was like walking on this tightrope, and all of a sudden like someone sneezed and I fell.
yeah,
Um,
dude.
and yeah, thankfully I was able to win round 8 and still make it in the top 8. Uh, and then yeah, I won a deck mirror on stream. The It was a rematch against God, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Manuel Bohm, super jacked German guy of push-up contest fame.
Oh, I know you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of his
I
biceps. That's all there is to
Yeah, that guy, he's jacked beyond all belief. He looks like Goldberg, honestly.
it.
Um, but yeah, so I played against him in the Swiss, and I had a game. I've never done this before. I played Brain Geyser 6 times in one game against him. So I brain geyser, then I regrew it, then I recalled to get back brain geyser and regrowth, brain geyser and regrew it. He had the third one library, and then I recalled again and got back brain geyser regrowth. And yeah, 6 brain geysers later, we were still in a top deck war, and I finally won, thanks to him being on library the whole game.
Well, it's better to be lucky than good. I mean,
Yeah,
also like,
exactly.
yeah, the so like normally when you travel, I mean, I've like picked you up from the airport and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's like usually like you're running solo or like dude's trip. How do you
Yeah,
think having Lucy there did that change the dynamic, like with
yeah,
regards to like the whole situation? Because normally it's just like a bunch of dudes and like sometimes somebody's
yeah,
wives show up and you're like, who are you? Like you don't be here, and they're like, oh,
yeah.
I'm Gordon's wife, and you're like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah, she was really supportive, and it was really nice to have her there, honestly. Um, and I had kind of told her like, look, you go do whatever you want to do, and like on Thursday and Friday, like don't expect to see me very much, but if it's going well and you want to come towards the end of the day, like that would be totally cool. And I had said to her like, hey, come for the very first round, and then once people start playing Magic, feel free to like
yeah,
go
just,
off and do whatever you want.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, so she came back on Thursday. She came and for like the last maybe the top 8, and she just stayed and hung out. And then on Friday, she showed up in like round 7 maybe, and like just sat and read a book. And then what? I was playing my top 8 match, and I was like, "Hey Lucy, would you mind like sitting next to me and just reading your book?" And that way, like having her with me was nice. But yeah, it definitely is a little bit of a different vibe in terms of like, I mean, I was already kind of looking for a reason to not be at the Rotary Pub all night on Thursday into Friday, but having her in tow and both of us being like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I was much more inclined to be like, okay, and now I'm just going to leave rather than like, I'm going to keep rolling with whatever everybody else is doing. And next thing you know, it's 4 a.m. and I'm at the Rotary Pub asleep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It nice little changed up there.
Yeah.
Would you say she had a positive experience? Do you think you'll take her with you on like future trips?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if it lines up, she definitely would like to come with me again. She really enjoyed herself. Saturday was kind of the perfect day for that because it was like the really casual Rotary event. And we went over and then we said hi to people and then we got lunch and walked around in the city. And then we came back and got some dinner, and then we like went over and hung out there, and she ended up talking with Emil, who is a philosophy professor, and Lucy studied philosophy undergrad, and so they just like started chatting about philosophy, and she was loving that. And then she got into a conversation with Parker about religion, and she studied theology. He has a master's in theology, so she loved doing that. And so yeah, there were a lot of cool interesting people, and I was like, NewCon is kind of like the perfect, cross section of the Magic community in that regard, and that you just get these very unique and interesting people that are kind of coming from all over the world with a shared interest.
Nice. Did you guys do anything? Did you fly back Sunday, or you guys like take
So
like
she
like a
flew
day or
back
anything
on
to yourself?
Sunday. she flew back on Sunday because she had booked her flight like over Christmas break. She booked hers, and I had booked mine back in August to fly home on Monday. And because she's a teacher, her spring break had lined up perfectly, except she had to be back for Monday. It was one of those like the first day after a break, you can't take off. So she flew home on Sunday, but it lined up well because Mano was also on the same flight, and there was flight disruption with them with storms coming home. So they ended up getting redirected, but it was like I think it was Lucy, Mano, Charles Klein, and Claudia all hung out, like went to the Gothenburg airport together, and then I think Lucy, Charles, and Mano hung out in Frankfurt and then flew back from there to Newark. So it
Nice.
worked out for her. And meanwhile, we met up with Kale on Sunday, and he like took us on a journey out to go to this burger shop, which was really nice. And we just walked around and kind of had like a chill day. And then we came back and saunaed for like 4 hours or something like that. Did like the sauna hot tub combo, and then just hung out in the lobby at the panorama and just shot the breeze for 2 or 3 hours, and then everybody was kind of like, "Yep, time to go to sleep." And went to sleep, woke up in the morning, went to the airport, and back home.
Nice, dude. The so what's your big takeaway from like this like 6 week run, right? Like a lot of like top finishes,
Mhm.
wins. Like what do you think like you've like gained or learned after this like I'll call it a tear, right? Like a TEAR,
Sure.
tear of a
Yeah.
run in Europe.
Uh, so the thing that was the real difference maker for me was just focusing on having fun. Like when I'm having a good time and enjoying myself and keeping things light and laughing and just enjoying myself, it's all so much easier. I feel like for a while there, I was putting too much pressure on myself to like perform and to have good results. And when you stop focusing on that and just remember that you're going and doing the thing that you love with people that are like all awesome people, and you can laugh at the funny moments, like it makes it all so much more fun and so much more worthwhile.
Nice. We should just end it right there because I thought that was probably my best question I've asked in a very long time. But I do need to ask one more and ruin this
Sure.
podcast. What's next on the roster for you? What do you got lined up?
So I'll be seeing you in about 2 weeks for Sean's Mortal Kombat event.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll like message you if you need a pickup from the airport or whatever. Just let me know all that stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Much
yeah.
appreciated.
Um,
Yeah, I'm
do you
stoked
know
for
what you're
that one.
playing? Do you know what you're playing yet? I can
Yep.
guess what you're playing, but okay, you got it lined
Sure.
up. Okay,
I'm playing the yeah, I mean, yeah, I've got kind of a fun callback to a deck that I played a lot of in 2018. A specific build of a deck that I mean I still play it a lot of, but playing an ATOG deck, but a slightly different take on it than I've been playing in the past, with a couple of kind of spicy cards.
nice. I'm literally just gonna rip off Paul De Silva's deck from when he played War of the Roses. I like have
Sure.
all except for two of those cards. I'm running it straight back. I'm not even taking a deck picture.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm pretty excited about
if
that.
you I don't know what the two cards you don't have are, but I might be able to lend them potentially
Oh,
at
it's
least.
they're not expensive. They're like I don't have like a healing salve and one extra power sink that's not like revised or something like that. I've got to go buy
Okay.
like one unlimited one. So
Okay. Well, I have a really cool healing salve for you to borrow if you want. It's a really nice one.
no,
I
I
got
know
Dan
you.
Frazier
I know you have a nice
to a
one. That's
really
why
nice one.
you can hold on to that one. I'm gonna get a shitty one
All
in
right, you
case I
get a
like
crappy one. Yeah,
in case I do something dumb. That way I'm not responsible for more people's cards. Sean was like,
sure.
"Hey, if you want to just borrow workshops," I was like, "I don't. I mean, I do, but I don't like. I
Yeah,
just
I
can't.
get
I just
that.
don't be responsible like that."
Yeah, there's something interesting that changes in a Magic event when you all of a sudden have someone else's cards in your bag versus your own.
Yeah, like if I counted out my deck at the end of the day and I was short like a card, and let's just say it's
Mhm.
like for me it's an expensive one, I'd be
Right.
like a little bit upset with myself, but I would just like fuck. Okay, I guess I got a budget to buy another one, right? Like,
Yeah.
but if you lose your friend's cards, oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna echo for years.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the thing that gets brought up every time, oh, what did you do? You lose one of my cards again? You're like, oh, damn it. Like,
Yeah.
I
Well, it's
paid
like
you back immediately, like before the event was over,
yeah,
I PayPal'd you the money and they're like still gonna rib you about it for the rest of your life.
exactly. Like I keep a bankroll just in case, but like
Just in
it won't
case.
matter. It won't matter because it
Yeah.
won't be that exact like card that I lost with there. So
Yeah, exactly. They're like, well, I really like the patina on this one. And you're like, dude, I got you a nicer condition card. And you're
yeah,
still
yeah,
giving me a
yeah.
hard time about
And
this.
I guess I would do the same. I actually don't know if I care much about too many of my cards that way, but yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I could ruin the end of this interview. What? Anything else? Do you want to? Well, maybe when you come out, do you want to talk BirdCon or do you want to just keep that
I mean,
tucked in?
yeah, we can talk about BirdCon. That was this past weekend.
Do you think you? I actually have to get to bed, which is a long story.
Fine.
But yeah, because I want to talk a little bit. Hold on. Let's end it here. And then I do
Okay.
want to ask a question about BirdCon. Okay. All right. Good job,
Totally.
everybody. Hold on. Let me just stop recording. I'm not actually going to exit out here.